you dressed Ivy Getty from the, I guess, the head up, right? You did a piece for her.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
So Oscar De La Renta's team, the creative directors at Oscar De La Renta, Fernando and uh, Laura Kim, amazing people. So they got me to think of a piece for Ivy Getty for the red carpet, and I had not made that connection since her name was Ivy. That's why we were doing the Ivy as a headpiece. But
Okay.
that connection occurred to me on the day of gala when everybody was talking about her name. Regardless, so we did that piece especially for her, and I think she graced it very beautifully. And I'm kind of like very happy and proud of the
Wow.
work we did together. Yeah.
Wow. Look at
So
that.
this is
So,
made out of paper, which was also a pattern that was on the dress. The dress was made from a fabric, which, if I remember correctly, a fabric that belonged to her grandmother, and she was very close to the grandmother. I think it was from the Frick Museum in New York, the fabric.
yeah.
So, I mean, the family has a whole history of, heirlooms and fabrics and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yes. The Getty family is quite
Yes.
well known. Yes. Just tell us about how this came together, what the process was like for you,
Yeah.
and just how it came to look so beautiful and work so beautifully as it obviously did.
So there is something I think which I am also not aware of, even if I am the part of the industry. There's a lot of things that you don't know while this is happening. It's also for the reasons that they want to protect the glamour and all of that. So I knew that we were doing some very special piece, and just as if anything that I'm doing, I wanted to give my best. But in this case, I think the team that I was working with at Oscar De La Renta was also extremely helpful. Like, they could share with me as much as they could, and I tried to interpret that, with the best of my abilities at the studio. So they had an embroidery that they wanted to replicate, continuing into a headpiece. So I just did a few experiments with different materials and trying to interpret the original sample that I was given. So what you see is paper and wire, and we did a bunch of fittings, and there was fortunately not many alterations required in this case, and it was got made and sent. And the next thing I know is that it's at the red carpet, and I was also surprised the way it looked. Yeah.
And were you happy with the way it looked?
Yeah, I think as an artist, there is always that piece of dissatisfaction in anything you do. And I think that's not even because of the piece, that's the person itself, the artist himself or
Yeah.
herself. And because we actually have to have that resentment of a certain kind to move on and prove that in the next piece, I guess. So we almost
hmm
use that as a mechanism to fuel ourselves. So just with anything that I do, I think, once it is over, I am grateful for that, and I move on to the next thing. It's always
Well,
like,
it
the
looks
next project is
absolutely
going to,
beautiful.
yeah. And I think, she did a fantastic job. I'm not saying that because this is what everybody says. I think it's a different thing, when you're making it on a mannequin that has no expressions, and then you see a real person walking with it, and, it's a part of their entire look for the evening. It's very special. I mean, I think sometimes I forget that how special it is, and I just already move on to the next thing. But when somebody like you would bring it back, and I think that, oh, it is something. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're so fueled by your creativity to create the next thing, and you're just kind of like moving on. But it is important to stop and smell
Yeah,
the
and
roses or the ivy.
exactly, exactly.